but then I feel like all that background noise is.
Yeah. Woo! Hoo, hoo. Get that head.
What?
You don't see Tracy yet?
Oh wait, nah, hold up.
Looking like a black skin head.
Let me do gallery view. Oh, look at him. All right, look good on you. You know. I'm a enthusiast with the bald heads. I go from time to
Look at
time.
you, sir.
Hey man, it's a new me, man. The new me.
I dig it.
Don't get me going.
What's up, man? What y'all been up to?
Trying to figure it out. I think I'm actually gonna go. Not actually today. It's gonna be the first time I actually make it out to one of these marches because there's one in the morning. So there's one at 10 a.m. downtown. So as soon as we get done, I'm gonna hop in the shower, run in my storage unit, grab some things, and then I'm gonna go out and do that. And then try to get back home and be productive. What about y'all?
School and might run out here a little later, but school's till like 9, 12, 30, 45. Hey, little puppy. Background.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah. Give me a little exercise in. You know, that's my antidepressant. Yeah.
Okay, I just had mine. I pulled the Anthony. You know, I'm going there early before the sunrise.
Oh yeah, it's.
You know, it feels.
You can do it. It's good.
It feels good to put it behind you. That's all I gotta say. When I'm like, man.
Oh yeah. Y'all can tell the difference of when I get sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I was like,
yeah.
Because I'm like, shit, I woke up at 4 this morning and worked out because knocked out.
Oh yeah, you slept good. All right, gentlemen. Well, let's jump into it. Welcome everybody back to another episode of We Partner What. I am Anthony Havoc Jr. I am a creative and a visual storyteller, and
Kevin Grant. I dabble with last names. So we do it every episode, so y'all should know about it.
Tracy, entrepreneur, creative.
Cool. Dig it. So I'm gonna just jump in and
exactly. I'll throw it to you.
So Anthony mentioned about going to a protest. If people don't know that we're involved in whichever ways we can, all of us, with the current movement and so on and so forth, but not exactly what I want to talk to you. I just want to use that to lead into, have you guys seen anything with the latest Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta, the latest
Heard about
unfortunate
it,
police.
But just
yeah, I should have sent a link ahead of time, but man, like, it's crazy.
Give me the whole rundown. Tell me the whole story. I just heard somebody got shot.
Okay, so this guy is Rayshard Brooks. He was in Wendy's. He fell asleep in line, like the drive-through. They called the cops on him because he was asleep and people was trying to go around, like in drive-through. Police show up, knock on his window, do the 1-2 of like if he's drunk or not. They did some field tests and breathalyzer. They take him, then they say they're gonna arrest him for DUI. And so they go to handcuff him. They get in a tussle. They wrestling. They trying to tase him. He takes the taser from one of the cops, runs off. They give chase. He turns back to shoot the taser back at them, and one of the cops shoot at him 3 times. 2 of them, I think, hit him, killing him in the drive-through. This is at Wendy's. These people in line. So I tried to do that objectively first because obviously there's some context that's missing here, and so he was in line. He was drinking, right? Nothing wrong with it. You can drink; it's legal. He said he talks to the cops. They had a video I saw where he's talking to the cops, and it seemed cool, right? And for me, I mean, just like all of us, we tired of it, but it's like, man, like, just be a human, dog. Like, the cops, like, the dude's making a mistake. You can see in the conversation when he's speaking to the officer, In the beginning, he's like straight up, yeah, I was drinking, and for me, I took note to where it switched, and it was just a small shift, but I can tell like when the cop was going from like getting his facts to like trying to prepare to make it like I'm gonna arrest you type thing, and I know he felt it because he switched from it was almost like a casual conversation to then it became like, so, I think you're drinking, blah blah blah, right? And and you can say he's like, from watching it, right? I see him just trying to build a rapport with this dude. Like he made a mistake, right? He's like, my sister lives a block away. I could walk. And so I'm just like, you look at the video and you just like, dude, just have a little humanity, right? Like the man's daughter's birthday is the next day. And I can only imagine he's thinking like, all right, I'm not trying to go to jail. Like, I just saw my daughter earlier. Yeah, I was drinking. I was going to get something to eat, sleep it off in the car, right? Fell asleep probably because he was too drunk. But she was a block away. He was already parked. He was out of the car. It's like, dude, just like, even take the man keys. Let him call his sister and say like, look, I'm here. They need to know that I'm not going to drive, so on and so forth, right? Just he made a mistake. We all do. And you can tell, like, I could just feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like, your child's birthday is the next day and you don't want to miss it, but you know that if you go to jail, you're going to miss it. Now, I'm not saying that's what his driving force was, but I can imagine, like, if I tell my child, look, tomorrow's your birthday, we're going to do it up, we're going to have a good time, and I'm about to get arrested and I'm going to miss it, right? And I gave him that word. I mean, you got to make it. So he probably was acting, like that. But again, he still didn't deserve to get killed over that. And he did resist. Sure, he did resist. He was drinking. We can go over all the things that went wrong, but it still wasn't necessary for him to die over that. And they patted him down. They knew he didn't have, a weapon. The only weapon he took was the one he took from them, which was non-lethal. They used lethal force against a non-lethal weapon. And they shot in public, like in a drive-through line. Like there was people.
Right, putting other people's lives
Yeah.
first. Yeah, it's tough. Like I didn't know the details. The only reason I knew about it, I think, did the police chief resign? Somebody resigned due to the shooting. So I've seen that headline, but I didn't know. I was like, I couldn't even bring myself to. And I saw like a screenshot of the footage, like I guess like the whatever the fast food restaurant. Like, there was a screenshot of it, and I was like, yeah, I just can't even at this point, like I can't even just watch anything else. I didn't. That's on me for not knowing all the facts. It is tough because this is one of those situations where first and foremost, that there's no way that this should have resulted in the loss of his life. Right. No way, shape, or form. And I do believe history has showed us that if he wasn't African American, wasn't Black, it probably would not have ended that way. But I can also say, devil's advocate, being raised around law enforcement, I do know he played a part in it. Still shouldn't have ended that way. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to differentiate this from all the other things that we've seen as of recent. Mm-hmm. When people are unarmed, they're in full compliance. Like, it's at the end of the day, this should not have happened, and it's a tragedy. But I also, like, we do have to do our part to be honest and say, okay, there is some things that could have been handled differently on both sides. And I guess that's all I want to say, because I don't want to, at any point, I don't care what my father did or what my best friend does for a living. Like, I'm not trying to defend any killing of Black men, whether it's Black on Black, and especially not police officer like killing of Black men right now. But we do have to do our part and differentiate. Like, it could have been handled differently on both sides, but it should not have resulted in this.
100%. But
I get where, and I definitely, like, for you, I know this probably hits you differently because you are a father of young children. So, like, I can only imagine the way that you're putting yourself in that situation. Like, I'm just trying to make it to the next day. But I don't know. It's a tough one.
And you're right. Like, it could have been handled differently, but the climate of where we are, right? And it's always been about equality. So my thing is like, okay, well, if we really arguing for equality, then let's actually put it out there. Like, had he been anything other than what he was, it wouldn't have resulted in that. And it's like, that's the bigger issue, because then you also have, we're so framed and brainwashed by how we receive information. Part of the reason I think I was just getting mad is if you look at any like comment or anything, right, wherever you can check the video, you have so many people it's like, well, you know, he did resist, he did shoot, right? And it's like, okay, but none of that was lethal. And I get, you know, I'm not saying being police is isn't a hard job or anything like that, but you know he doesn't have a weapon. You patted him down. You talked to the man for 30 minutes before all of this happened. You gave him field sobriety tests before you gave him a breathalyzer. Like, be a human. That's all. Like, see him as a man, and you like, okay, you made a mistake. I get it. He told them everything about the argument. Like, I know when people are reaching out like for rapport, and the man, he was just probably just looking for a small win at this point, right? He obviously was drunk because he said he got into it for something else. But again, if we talking about being equal, man, like, then be equal. That's it. I'm not saying he should have been in the tank. Sure, it shouldn't have ended the way it ended.
Absolutely. And I literally, all I know you about to jump in, Tracy, but all I know about the situation is the headline I read and what you told me. So I have no context for what I'm about to say. But that's why I do, not knowing anything about the captain or chief, whoever resigned, like, I can appreciate whoever it was doing that, because I think that will help. If nothing else, the fact that somebody resigning over one of these shootings is bringing more attention to it. It's tough because I don't know if the person is black, white, man, woman, whoever that resigned, but you know, I would hate if this was like a good person, like a actual good police officer that wanted the right thing to happen, for them to not be in a position to effectively make change. But from just outside looking in, knowing just the few details that I do know, I can appreciate that, because I think that sets a precedent and it sets a tone to bring more attention and to be accountable for these things happening. So only knowing what I know, and absolutely knowing that it should not have ended this way, I can appreciate that move being made, and maybe that will start bringing some change in other ways, and I can't think of a culture and a climate of people in power being held or holding themselves accountable for these actions. But that's all I got.
Trace, I don't want to commandeer the conversation, so I'll
No,
be the
I mean,
teacher.
no, this is rough. You know, I feel like this is a rough situation. You know, because whenever there's a life loss, no matter the circumstance, it's tough. You know, you're gonna have people feeling. I mean, even if it's even hard to talk about it right now because of the climate. You know what I'm saying? Just because, you know, I feel like even if it was just, it still wouldn't be just right now because the climate we in. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you can't really even, you damned if you do, damned if you don't type deal right now. But the only thing I can really speak on is just, I don't know. I wasn't there to get all the facts. And I haven't even read the articles. I briefly looked at it because there's just so much going on. But, you know, I guess I could just speak from my experience because I wouldn't want to offend his family or offend, you know, the climate of the situation. I just know personally, I was raised that if a police officer pulls you over, you obey, you do what they say, and you put your hand on the steering wheel, and you don't resist. And I was always taught that because I am a black man in America. So I can't even imagine taking a taser off a police officer's belt, you know, and then running, and then expecting. I'm not. I guess what I'm trying to say. I don't even know what I would expect in that scenario. You know, like I think that I would expect to probably lose my life if I took a police officer's taser or took his gun. I mean, I couldn't imagine it going. I guess what I'm trying to say is I can't even imagine it going any different. Like it's not like I'm not surprised. Like, you know, is it right? No. You know, is it fair? No. and that's why we're in the climate that we are, and people are protesting for change, and people are trying to get policies changed, and people are speaking up. But nothing's changed yet. So I'm just like really confused. Like I would think now more than ever, people would be, both sides on their P's and Q's. So it's just, to me, it's just like, it's just really disturbing for really both sides to see, like, when you see the officers still blatantly just people filming them and they're just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And it is what it is. And then when you see people like, it's like that's why I said this is tough for me, because I was raised, you make sure you don't even, I don't even reach for my wallet when I'm pulled over. I get it out either before the cop walks up, or I ask permission to get my wallet. So I can't even imagine, intoxicated or not, like stealing a taser from a police officer. So
yeah, and I think part of that, the difference in our viewpoint and how we are approaching this speaks to our last episode when, like, Tracy, you and I, we spoke to how we were raised and how we saw things, and Kevin's is coming from a little different standpoint. Like you and I, Tracy, were raised like, okay, be aware that you are Black, be aware that the police are going to be this way, so you have to approach things differently. Where Kev was speaking like, I was raised on equality. Like this, I shouldn't have to deal with this, and I shouldn't have to teach my kids this. So I think we understand things differently. We just view it from a different lens based on the way we were raised and the way that we choose to see things. So that's all it is. But at the end, I think we understand that it shouldn't have come to that. It could have been handled better, but
of course it could have been handled better. But it's like and that's why I just want people, like, right now, it's more important than ever that we do things to make changes in office. We go out and vote, and so we can see that change. But I don't want people to. I don't want to. I seeing stuff like this on my news feed, and every day hearing something different. It's hard. It's tough, and so I just hope people understand, like, the climate hasn't changed yet.
No.
It's in the process. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is like, even though there's a lot going on in the world and people are speaking up, we still got a ways to go. So just remember that.
Oh yeah, but also know that change isn't gonna come with just staying in line. Like if you don't buck the system, then the system's gonna stay in place. So I think that's important. That's how you get the protests. You get people going to Jackie Lacey's house every week. You get that energy towards that, because otherwise, if you're gonna be a pushover, then people are gonna push you over.
Absolutely.
Just look at the main office right now, the United States.
And I agree. I just think there are ways to and not to buck the system that will help the process.
Yeah.
Like
I'm not saying that.
I don't want somebody else to misinterpret.
Well, honestly, it's not even bucking the system is just one tier of the situation. I'm just saying, like, bug, but like, I wouldn't. You got, if anybody else had a gun, if anybody else, if you got into an altercation with somebody and you knew they had a weapon, I think 9 times out of 10 people ain't gonna try to steal the gun from them, and you know what I'm saying, and wrestle with them, and that's all I'm saying is, like,
it's a taser.
Tracy, we understand that. We're just, only thing that me and Kev are saying different than you is something would have happened, but more than likely, if the person was not of African American descent, it wouldn't have escalated to them.
I guess what I'm saying is
statistics show that
everybody right now they killing people because they think it's a gun. If you get pulled over and
but that's the thing, Tracy. We are getting killed, not everybody.
Okay, so black,
and that's what we're saying. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying.
So I guess what I'm saying is, black man, if you get pulled over and you reach for your cell phone and it looks like a gun or it appears to be a gun, there's a possibility you can lose your life.
Yeah. We're all.
So I'm saying that's baseline. We fighting for that, and we over here. We're gonna move a little forward. We know that's like human rights right there. Like, I should be able to grab my wallet, my keys, my cell phone without having to fear my life. Now, I go steal a police officer's taser, and I can't even reach for my cell phone. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it don't make sense to me on how else you think that situation is gonna end. I guess what I'm blowing my mind is like,
absolutely, but there are a lot of people like on both sides that are super fired up right now. So it's just I think I have no idea about either of the police officer or the young man, but I would imagine like you see the world is kind of on edge or they have a heightened energy right now. So if you are a young black man and you see all this going on, it's not right, but you are going to be you may be a little more on edge and be a little more, something may just trigger in you the same way these police that you see in a lot of these protests and all these marches, like they are, I don't want to use the word, but sometimes it is literally, they are more trigger happy. Like people are in a more heightened state right now. It doesn't justify anything, but I'm just saying, like, I get what you're saying and I'm not justifying it, but you never know what's going in somebody's mind, especially right now, which works both ways. Why you shouldn't do something, but why somebody may be more likely to do it and why there may be a reaction to it.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree to that, but I'm just saying now it all depends on what your motive is. I'm saying to live, to get out the situation.
Yeah.
You got to do things.
That's no guarantee you're gonna get out the situation. You saying it like, okay, at that there's a higher chance that he'd get out it, but we have plenty examples that go unseen where you don't have a gun, you don't have anything.
And that's my point. And that's what I'm trying to say. If we got a million examples of people not grabbing tasers, not grabbing for guns, not grabbing for keys, getting killed, imagine, I mean, I guess for me, it's just a no-brainer. If I go and steal something off a police belt, I'm going to lose my life. And that's all I'm saying.
We're not saying that you should see it differently. We're not even saying, I'm not
the
even
man
saying
didn't deserve to lose his life over.
But what I'm saying is some people have literally just had enough. And they're and you see it in a situation like that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you should see it differently. I'm not saying I do or should see it differently. I'm just saying certain people feel things differently.
I do see it differently. It's not like I see it like it's just that he lost his life. I'm just saying, like, if I don't go to work, I'm not gonna make no money, and I can't sit there and act surprised like, oh man, I'm not making no money. It's not even a police officer. Like, it's like if there's anybody that has a gun on them, and I go and take something from if there's a man in a grocery store with a pistol, and I go and take his wallet out of his pocket, there's a good chance he gonna shoot and kill me. And that's all I'm trying to say.
We're not. We all agree with that. Hold on. Okay,
talking about a specific.
Okay, go. We are all in agreement with that. All I am saying is you don't know what that man was going through leading up to it, or what he was feeling in that moment. Like he literally may have just snapped. And none of this that I'm saying is to justify it. I'm just saying it's easy for us to say right now what we would do sitting safely in our own homes. But in that moment, who knows all the details, all the nuance and all the small things that happened or what was going through his mind. Like we said, we've seen so many people that didn't make it home, and what could have very well been likely, like Kev said, all he was thinking about was making it to the next day. Now, absolutely, he could have just complied, but we don't know what he was feeling, what his experience with the police were, what he had been seeing going on, or maybe he was just dealing with something. Maybe he had a temper. We don't know. All I'm saying is I agree with you. You and I were raised the same way, but we can't speak for that man in that situation. We can speak our thoughts to other people, but all I'm saying is, like, we don't know all the details, and we don't know what he was thinking. We don't know what was going through his mind. There's a lot of different things that go into that. Kev, you got anything before we jump to the next one? Anything worthwhile? Because I know you got plenty, but anything that will move the conversation forward.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is the man made a mistake, right? When has it been? Name me somebody who hasn't made a mistake, right? And you said it great. You said it fine. Exactly what. We don't know where he was coming from. We don't know what his mentality was. All I know, if he made a promise to make it to his daughter's birthday, not of sober mind. His instinct is, I'm going to be there tomorrow. So that probably resulted in what we saw. But have we seen it done a million different times? Sure. And I'm gonna say it till I'm blue in the face that I could be taught whatever. I'm not going to fight cops, but same token, if all things being equal, we're gonna treat it the one way, then treat it and make it equal. You can go and see thousands of examples of people, other ethnicities in the same situation that are not dead today from the cop. But you see this one dude had some drinks, could have walked to his sister, but instead he's dead. He doesn't see his ever again. They don't see their father ever again, all because of a mistake that everybody makes.
And I hear what you're saying, Kevin. Like, I mean, I seen an example a few nights ago where I don't even know where it was, but it was a guy. He got in a tussle with the police officer, and he stole the police officer's vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Took off, gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I'm not arguing that, but I am arguing the fact that nothing's changed. So everything going on. You got George Floyd, Tiana Taylor. You got all these. I mean, all these situations. I mean, you can name 100, but I'm like, I guess what I'm trying to say, intoxicated or not, you know that police officers are killing people, black people right now. Right. I mean, even if you wanted to not believe it, you probably secretly in your heart and like, man, you know what? It might be true right now. You know, it's a lot of evidence. Mm. All that being said, it's you mean to tell me in the middle of all this, going to a birthday party and I can't speak on that, man. I'm not a father. I'm just saying, no matter to take something from somebody who has a gun. And it takes something from an organization who has proven that they will kill you, mm-hmm. and think that that's okay. I think, and the only point I'm trying to make, even if it wasn't a police officer, if it was a guy in Walmart, I think the outcome would have been the same because you can't just take stuff from people that got guns.
The outcome would have been the same because he's black. Just like they shot the guy in Walmart who was using.
Exactly. But if you're not
people at Walmart with AR-15s, and this kid was checking out a gun for them in Walmart. And I want to look up his name because I don't want to just give him I don't know his name precisely at this moment, but that's the whole reason it's all an issue. It's like you can't. I'm operating on a higher power than any man gonna deviate to me. So if you a man and I'm a man, you see me as a man. Don't come at me with some nonsense about, oh, I need you to comply when I'm not making this person comply.
And that's fine.
If that's the case, we take the slavery times because we just like let the shit just keep going.
But there's a time and point. You can't make you
it
can't
ain't
prove
a time
that
and place
point.
for change. You can't have no revolution if
you can't go up to no police. That's not a revolution.
I'm not saying that was right. I've never said that was right.
Anybody go up to a taser, LAPD, Santa Monica PD,
and right. And I've never said it was.
They gonna get
that don't
shot.
make them right too, and that don't make them right.
But it's facts.
So that's fact. That's not the reality.
The only difference between
and you don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe it. But I guarantee you,
Tracy, stop. The only difference is where you two are willing to accept the line. Like you both accept and understand the truth of the matter, but you just see how to approach it differently. So y'all just y'all.
It's not even.
Wait, no. I just let y'all go for like 3 minutes. Let me talk. So I don't want to keep going because we're just going to talk, and you two are, and I understand both sides. You two are just going to talk in circles, explaining the same point. So this is one of those things where y'all just have to leave it where you stand.
Okay, I'll be out. This my situation. No. To make clear and concise so that we can move on. Tracy, I understand there's protocols and decorum. Yet I don't care what those protocols and decorums are. No, that's exactly because.
But no, that's not. It's not
Tracy,
even that.
Tracy, if you tell me, okay, if I do X, Y, and Z, I should expect to be shot. You're saying there is a protocol and there's a decorum of how you deal with a person in authority.
I'm not saying. I'm saying there's a reality.
Tracy, let him talk and then you can
go ahead.
Right. Okay. You're saying there's a reality.
Go ahead.
I'm going. They said there's a reality and then there's again
fiction.
The protocol.
It's make believe. That's what you believe in your mind that you can go up and
Tracy.
You're not even.
Taser.
When did I say that? I said you can. I said verbatim that you can go up to a police, take his weapon, and nothing happened to you? That's what I said. Because if so, you ain't been listening.
I gotta run it back and see what you said. But
Because you ain't been listening. Because that's not what I'm saying.
listening.
The point of contention is I'm saying it wasn't right that happened. You're framing it in a way that is, oh well, what else do you expect? So that by omission, you're saying that is a outcome to what happened, and it's not. And you can tell me blue in the face, we're not going to agree on that.
But it's not. I don't have to prove nothing to you because you saw the outcome. It ain't like this is like make believe. You go up and take something. It is always an outcome for a black man gonna die when you go up and you take something from a police officer. It is always an outcome when you reach for something in your pocket and there's a police officer there. That's the outcome. That is the outcome. I got family members who've been beat up by the police. I got family members that have been shot out by the police. I've had guns pulled on me. I have family members.
You think I have it?
But I'm saying you acting like it's not in reality. Like if you walking around the street and you take something from a police officer, you should expect nothing to happen to you in this climate today in 2020.
But you putting words in my. When did I say any of that? I didn't.
But you're implying. You're implying.
There is no implication. I inferred none of it.
All Kevin is saying is that he is not willing to accept this reality.
You don't have to accept it.
But hold on, Tracy. So he is saying, until it is fair, he is not going to stop pressing his issue until things are equal, till there's equal reaction across
and that's
the board.
The issue that I have. And that's the issue that I have. Because you can't press an issue in that moment. You can press an issue when you're sober.
Tracy, you gotta let y'all both gotta let people talk. Y'all gotta let people talk, and then we can respond. We can't talk over each other. So I'm not saying either right or wrong. I get what you're saying. Like Tracy, I'm going to paraphrase both of you. You can correct me after where I'm wrong. We are both saying that we as black men die at a higher rate, no matter what the circumstances are when it comes to police, than any other ethnicity. Tracy's saying this is fact, so you have to work accordingly, knowing those facts. I believe that Kevin agrees that those things are facts, but those are not the facts that he's willing to live with. So he is going to work for it in a mindset that he is not accepting that. Though he may, if he's pressed in the same situation with the police, act the same way you may, Tracy, and not grab somebody's taser in his mind. And when he has a chance to move things forward, and this isn't saying that you wouldn't, Tracy, he is going to always push the agenda that we need to make things more equal across the board. And I think that's where both of you are. I don't think you guys are really disagreeing on most of it, but just because, like I said originally, the different mindsets that we have as far as like how we were raised, we are approaching it differently, but it's only like 5%. You guys are agreeing on most of it, but it's just because it's being lost in translation, we're going back and forth in circles. Now, if you guys both want to go again, I'm giving y'all 30 seconds apiece, and y'all got to let each other talk, and wherever it lands after that, we done, we moving on to the next set. We good? Or we going?
I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, it's just I'm not gonna just say anything, especially if this is gonna be put out into the world, because if there's a black man or a black woman that's gonna feel like in that moment they're gonna rebel, it's like, I want you to go home to your mama, your daddy, your daughter. I want you to go see your daughter, not just for that birthday. I want you to go to all her birthdays. But in this climate, you can't do that. Now, is it fair? No. Is it just? No. Should it be different? Yes. Should it have been different? Of course. But that don't change the facts that you can't go up and take something off a police belt and expect a different outcome. And that's all I'm saying. Like, you know, yeah, if it was, we can talk and yeah, I know if he was a different color, yeah, they probably would have let him go home. They probably wouldn't even escalate it there. But he is black. I believe that's you know, and when you are black, it's like in a work environment. If you don't know who you are and what time it is, you're not going to excel in that work environment.
All right, 30 seconds is up. That is good. So let's move on to something that's close but different. I don't know if you guys have seen how I know a cause that LeBron James and a lot of people have taken up right now is actively fighting against the voter suppression. I think they just had something happen in Georgia, maybe, I could be wrong, where I know the voters out, it was some specific area, I believe it was in the South, I believe it was in Georgia, but of course, the voters in the the minority and Black community, they were facing lines that were 2.5, 3 to 4 or 5 hours long just to vote. Whereas in some of these more well-to-do communities, there was no wait, if at anything, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. So to me, this means something, not that it means anything different than what we've been talking about, the George Floyd and the protests, but I think these things go hand in hand, because I think, as I think Tracy, you mentioned on one of, maybe the had to be in the last episode, the time to, and Kev too, because we talked about voting a while ago. The best way to make a lot of change, and luckily enough with the timing of things, is going to be in these coming months with voting. So I don't know. So for me, it's different, because in my video when I was talking about the cause and all that, like this is exactly the things that I want to lend my platform to, which is part of the reason why I'm going out today. I'm going to try to network with people whose story I can help tell. But I think it's good for us to all be aware, and we can discuss some of the issues that are facing minorities that aren't just police violence, and things that are prohibiting us from making some of the changes, police violence and other ways, when it comes to voting in these next upcoming months. So I don't know, maybe we could figure out what we can do and how we can share the word or get the message and help people to get out there and vote. I don't know. All right. So you gentlemen have any thoughts on some of these voter suppression tactics we've been seeing going on, and what can be done and how we can do our part in the coming months to make change that way as well? Or Kev, can you not talk still? Or Tracy, you go ahead first.
I think.
Oh, never mind. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you can go, because my internet's driven. Hold up. No, I was just saying. I think. Okay. Grass going.
That's all right. No, it's not that loud. Go ahead.
All right. I think it's important to really just have places and opportunities for people to get their vote in, and that it's going to actually be sent in. You know what I mean? Like, I know in California we were having a.
Oh, that's loud. No, go ahead. What happened? What'd you say?
He's doing a blower. I think the issue is still though, like, what controls are in place to actually ensure that these ballots are even really getting through, because part of that voter suppression is just like, are the ballots even going through? Like, I know they had that issue before with the governor's race, and it was like, I mean, I don't know if it's an honor system or what, but there has to be a more accountable way to ensure that, you know, people aren't tampering with the ballots. And I mean, that's not even speaking to like them closing, like having faulty machines and things like that. But even once we get past that point, that is just not like they're casting votes, you know, however they made to push an agenda. I think having these little locations and these centers is helpful to make it easier for people that may have issues getting out to vote. Were like on one side of the city, they had long lines, and on other sides where it's skews to a different demographic, it was easy breezy. So I mean, that's not an accident. So I definitely think there needs to be some type of control in place, or just a situation that makes it easier for every person to have vote. Again, it goes back to equality, and it's not equal. It's not equal when you have broken machines and you have more barriers to place a vote for people in one area, and then in another area is as easy as walking down to the store.
Right. And I don't want to discount anything that you said, because those are all the systemic things, which are the real base of the issue. I guess for me, I'm more interested in what we can, not us specifically, but us as individuals, what we can do to counteract that, like how we can rally people and like, I know you and I talked about one day going out to to one of the protests and taking bottled water, but so if it's just one of those things where, and not saying we all have to do these things, but like if we start creating groups that can make sure that there are, food and beverages that are out there for these people that are going to be in longer lines, or helping coordinate groups that can go out there to make sure, I don't know, it's just different things. I don't know. That's really where my mind is
Oh, well,
going now.
maybe exploring. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I answered not the question directly. So maybe just really exploring like how many different centers they have, because sometimes everybody goes to one that they can probably find another one, and I don't know how. Or maybe there's a way to open more to offset having so many people at one location. You know what I mean? Like, um, and that probably would take some brainstorm, but I don't see why it would be such a difficulty to open up another center, because it's always like it's schools or things like that,
Right.
to kind of alleviate the burden of this one place having so many different people, and figuring out how that happens, or figuring out a channel, see alternative ballots, because some people just don't like mailing ballots. I think that's another way too, to give more options, which would lessen the burden for people, I think, to make
absolutely.
Trey,
go
ahead.
So I'm not. Are you guys? Well, I know in California you can vote anywhere. They've changed that the last few months, so you don't have to vote in your area. You can go Beverly Hills, Malibu, Santa Monica. So
really?
I know, yeah, they got rid of that. So you can vote. I don't know about other states, but I know California you could definitely do that. And it was, well, last time I went to vote, it was a long line. I mean, I voted in a pretty nice neighborhood, and I had to wait in line. This before COVID. It still was maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Hour and some change. So I mean,
I know if we go early, it's not bad.
Yeah, I went towards the
define early, just so people know.
Because usually, like Tracy was saying, before COVID, like most people go after work, or after like in that time frame, work hours. Right. So if you go like before, a lot of times people are like, okay, I'll go later. But it's also a different reality now, because COVID kind of changed all of that.
Everything.
So I'll come back around and see how that is in the next election. We'll go ahead, Tracy.
But yeah, voting is definitely. I mean, I think I've always believed it. You know, especially locally. You know, voting for your mayors, voting for your judges, that's huge. I think I think one thing that these last few situations, to the gentlemen and women who lost their lives, it has like really, I think the most important thing is done besides protesting, because I still think protesting, even though it's beautiful, it's still temporary. So it's a long-term change is voting. I think people are like, you know what, I am gonna go vote. You know, because a lot of people you talk to, they feel like, I mean, a lot of people, I don't know who you guys talk to, but they feel like they vote don't matter or count. You know, there's so many people I know who don't vote, who don't think it's important. And
I've seen that change in a lot of people lately, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are more like, even I had a conversation yesterday about a few people we talked about, you know, things going on, and you know, more political than this conversation. So I'm not gonna share it online, but we just kind of went into detail sharing about like how the voting, and a lot of people are like, you know what, like, you know, and that was the thing. I think people from the people I speak to, and I'll go back to your question, but just people want to see the major changes, but I think things have been such the same for so long that people would accept just the smallest changes at this point and work towards the bigger changes. You know, so that's just the vibe of everyone I talk to. But to go back to your question, just education. I think people don't understand the power of voting, and what it can and can't do. And honestly, I think even when people do go to the ballots, they don't even understand what they're voting for. So just, you know, doing a little bit of homework or research and knowing kind of what's what, you know, understanding the different parties, you know, understanding, you know, it's like religion. Some people just, they in a party just because, you know, they don't really understand what that party represents. They don't really understand, you know, much background than that. So I just challenge people to do their research, to research and then research again, and then read the fine print, and then read the print before the print, because a lot of the times, you know, stuff gets passed through, and you know, it's when we least expect it. So go vote.
Okay. Yeah, I know for me, I want to, like, I think, I guess me, I'm thinking a lot, and I'm not saying you guys aren't, but like my mind is more on like strategy, because obviously all of us for the most part feel the same way about a lot of things, but there are a lot of people that are like literally opposed to our way of thinking. And I know there are going to be a lot of hurdles. Like there's been so much of a groundswell of energy in the direction that I think the three of us want to see a lot of things go. Like it'd be hard for me to believe that, I mean, and there already is that, but there aren't many agendas and many obstacles that are going to be put in place to kind of quell a lot of these things between now and when it really matters, which is election time. So it's just like my mind is like on how do we prepare people and support people to withstand those things, and to more than anything to keep this energy. I mean, because it's easy. Like I'm very impressed and surprised that people are like globally are protesting this long continually, but it's only been what, like a month ish. And we, like I said, we got 4.5 more months to go. And I think once you probably get to like October, that vibe will pick up again. But like this summer and this fall, considering you got the pandemic still going on and whatever's going to happen economically, and who knows what else can pop up, and then we start getting, and that's a whole different. We can jump into this if you want, but like I'll just touch on it real quick. Like you see, and I can see just this conversation being a distraction. But I saw Kyrie didn't want to come back didn't want the season to come back because it doesn't want to be a distraction. But we get to the point where like sports and entertainment comes back around, and that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about this period is that we didn't have the distractions that are usually given to us to keep us distracted from what's really going on. But as those distractions start to roll around and social distancing parameters are lifted and the world gets back to normal, it's like, how can we ensure that we keep these things on the front of everybody's mind and not just the mind of those that it affects directly between now and then. So that's just where my mind is. And I'm not saying that we need to come with solutions now, but that's definitely something I'm going to be thinking on here.
I think I think Tracy made a good point. Locally, I think we need a new breed of people entering politics. I think we're also, a big point of contention is a lot of things that happen is kind of just how we learn, right? Like just the way society is. We take traditions and we pass those traditions on, and we holding on to traditions that no longer serve us. So I think there needs to be a new wave of and a different type of politician. I think some of these movements and protests, like some of these people need to have that energy and run for office and start on a local level. And that's where you start to change. You can change things quickly and, you know, broaden out. And that's part of with the voting thing. That's part of like getting people to understand the voting. That's part of changing policy to where, you know, if you serve time in prison, you no longer disenfranchised. All of these things are like interconnected, and just like you're saying, even actionable steps now of going out there serving water. Tracy gave a good tidbit of like, it doesn't matter where you vote here in California. If that's like a national happens, then that changes the conversation of, okay, I have to vote here and I'm stuck here. Because then you can machines and the like.
Kev, hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. You cut out right after you said you don't have to vote here. You cut out for a second.
Saying like then you can create transportation opportunities. You can bus people to other places to vote. You can have carpools and different things, which then alleviates long lines or people being stuck in one situation. I don't know what else missed, but I was also saying like local government, like changing who the candidates are, like changing how the culture completely, right? We this time we talked about the police culture, but just the culture of society in mass, like what a politician is now, I think needs to shift to really being like, okay, for the people, where you're not getting bought out, where you're not getting sponsorships, and then you owe people favors to pass legislation and so on and so forth. Because right now it's a capitalistic game. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, along with voting, I also like think, you know, what tied to that is, you know, being people in our communities being able to take care of themselves, you know, like, you know, with the proper jobs, you know, the proper health care, the proper representation in their community, whether that's, you know, policing, mayors, you know, how their community looks, you know, repairs. So it all kind of breaks down to, you know, us being able to get back to the roots of having good jobs, you know, being able to take care of our families, being able to be a part of the school systems. Then we know we part of the school system, being able to vote, and we're able to educate ourselves. So, you know, it's all a trickle effect, but I do think we skipped like 10, 15 years with everything that's happened because people are aware, people want to know, people want to learn. And
shit, I was even just don't want to forget it, but like with the whole looting, right? You saw a lot of teenagers and stuff in there. Like school's out. You know what I'm saying? School's out. They have nowhere to go. So
yeah.
we all been teenagers. You've been a teenager. You've been bored.
Yeah.
Not saying you go and loot, but shit,
Yeah.
if all your friends is out and about, eventually you get a whole group of teenagers
That's the age
together.
when you do stupid stuff.
Bad choices is gonna happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what's also some things that we can do for not only the youth and teenagers, but also like the older people that might be retired, and so they're not just also stuck in mass. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's all like viable options that gotta take that same momentum, and while like you say, while we're not distracted, really focusing in, because when the distractions come, you know, people will drop off.
Attention spans are very short nowadays.
And the basketball thing is tough because it's like, you know, I saw and I saw this on they were talking about it on First Take. Anybody saw First Take yesterday?
Saw a clip.
Yeah, Stephen A was talking about it, and it's tough because it's like, yeah, I mean, I get where Kyrie's coming from. I think it's Kyrie and Dwight Howard. Like, you know, we don't really want to play because we don't want to distract the people, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a lot of respect, but it's like at the same time, it's like, you know, a lot of people rely on the NBA for employment. You know, if you own a team and you're not making those big salaries, you know, like money, I think at the end of the day, like being able to provide for yourself and being able to put your money where your mouth is, that's going to be, and I agree with him on that. That's going to be the biggest change than not playing, you know, like, you know, I would take if these players played the season, they donated all their money to a cause, you know, so they donated to build stuff in the community, because it's like when all this is said and done, we
The
still going to need
ownership
money.
too.
Yeah, we still going to need money and
100%.
resources to make things happen. You know, like you said, even if we wanted somebody to run for mayor or run the office, you got to have money to back them. You got to have money to put up on a campaign. So I think if these players really feel that way, that would be kind of cool if they all was like, you know, we're going to put a certain percent. And I mean, obviously, you can't tell people to do with their money, but I think that would be more valuable than not playing at all. It's like, hey, we're going to put a percentage to this community, you know, even in maybe Minnesota, they might be like, you know what, in Minnesota, we're gonna find somebody who we want to represent the city of Minnesota in the next few years, a mayor or whatever, and we're gonna back them. We're gonna put them in the public eye. We're gonna put money behind them, because like you said, that's gonna be that long term 10, 12-year change, you know, and that's what I think that's separating the older generation from the younger generation, is like they understand the value of the long-term change, and we understand we want the change today and tomorrow.
No.
So it's just that
Right.
mix.
It's a good mix, and like I even in me bringing up the point, like I still would appreciate. I have more trust and faith in the NBA just because of the way that they've always been able to be vocal and support causes than I would somebody like the NFL, which is a whole different thing I don't want to get into today. But also specifically the NBA, because you have people like LeBron James that are there. So as long as they have spotlight, which he's gonna, I mean, God forbid something happens to him, but as long as he's around and certain other people are around, that message will still be out there. So I mean, I want the NBA to be back, but if it came down to it, I wouldn't want it back at the cause or the cost of everything else. But I definitely feel a lot better about the NBA coming back just because of just the way Adam Silver and just the administration have allowed players and organizations to be vocal about social justice causes. And then when you have some of the biggest names and somebody like LeBron James, it's becoming more and more vocal every day. So yeah, no, I'm with it. I was just curious on your guys' take, but we will have more distractions moving forward that we're going to have to work through to keep this momentum and this energy going.
Yeah, I mean, even the virus. I mean, they talking about the second one. I don't know what y'all believe. Y'all believe it's real or fake or whatever, but the virus is, they talking about the second wave will hit on that. So I mean, like I said, both of all these issues, we far from being done with either one of them. But it's just important, like you said, for us to stay focused, for us to remember that, we got to take care of ourselves, like even if you don't believe in it, I still want my people that around me out that care. If you go out, like I say, protest or whatever, just wear a mask, wash your hands. Like I want people to be rather too cautious than not cautious enough, because I don't want nothing to happen to none of my peoples if I can help it. So, if whether you believe in corona, you think it's a conspiracy, or you believe it's real, wash your hands, wear a mask, take your vitamins, because you don't want I don't want nobody finding out the hard way, if possible.
All right. Well, on that note, I know we all got to get on about our day, so we will sign off. Anybody, if you have any articles or any links that you want me to put in the description, we will drop it down there for everybody. And we will see you guys sooner than later.
All right. Later. Peace.